Welcome back, everyone. Today we'll recap a 2017 Indonesian gothic horror film named Satan Slaves. Before we start, it is a request to please like and comment on the video as it will help us to grow our reach. The movie's 1981, when we see a girl named Rini. She comes to a studio where the manager tells her that the sales of her mother's records have already stopped, and the royalties from her former singing career are long gone. Here we come to know that Rini's health is not good for 3 years, and now she is not popular as she once was. Now she comes back home where we see her grandmother Rama, and her 2 younger brothers Bondi and Ian, who is deaf. She then goes to her dad Barry and tells him no more royalties. She tells him that he should not have mortgaged this house, to which he says that all his savings are gone and they needed to pay for her mother's treatment. Next, she goes to see her mother, who suddenly starts getting scared seeing someone. But when Rini looks upwards, she sees nothing there. Then she calms down on her own and falls asleep. Now in the night, Rini's brother Tony also comes home and he has brought something for them to eat. Rini sees that he has sold his watch, and only then do they hear their mother's bell. Here in the room, Rini is calling Tony's name when he comes there, and then starts combing her hair by sitting next to her. He is also talking to her when he sees that a bunch of her hair comes out in the comb. Then suddenly the window of the room opens. Tony closes the window and turns back and sees his mother staring at the window. He gets a little scared seeing this and leaves from there. Now Rini is sleeping at night when her sleep is awakened by the sound of her mother's bell. She goes to her room and sees her standing near the window. But when she goes to her mother starts ringing the bell from the bed, and the lady turns towards her. Only then does Rini wakes up. Now she hears the bell again, and she goes to Rini's room again. This time also Rini is standing near the window, and when Rini goes to her, she looks towards the bed and now Rini has turned. She suddenly falls down and Rini calls her dad, who checks her and tells her that her mother is dead. Next, we see Rini's funeral, where everyone is deeply saddened by her death. Now after the burial, Barry meets the Ustad, who tells him that he just moved here with his son Hendra. Ustad asks him he never saw his family in the mosque, to which he says that they don't pray. Then Hendra introduced himself to Rini, but she does not talk to him and sees that Bondi has stopped behind. She goes to him and he tells her that they say the last family member who walks 40 steps away from the grave, the dead one will wake up, and this is his 39th step. He asks her what if mom wakes up and arises from the grave, but she says it is not true and leaves from there. Now at night Barry tells Rini and Tony that he is going out of town tomorrow to raise money for mortgage payments. They are not happy with his decision, to which he says that he will be back as soon as possible. Now Tony is listening to the radio in his room when he hears his mother's bell. He goes outside his mother's room and as he turns on the lights, he sees the bell falling. Tony gets terrified seeing this and runs back to his room. Now the next morning Tony gives Bondi a toy camera. Next, we see Bondi in his room where he is watching the slides on that camera, and suddenly Rini's ghost haunts him. Now at night, Tony is trying to sleep by listening to the radio when its frequency changes automatically. He changes it back to the old frequency and starts sleeping. But then he hears her mother's bell. He immediately turns off the radio and the bell also stops. He turns on the radio again, but now he can hear his name on it. He again turns it off and puts it on the side. But then Rini's ghost asks him to comb her hair. Just then he sees his mother's comb there and Rini's ghost stands up. But as soon as he turns on the light, she disappears. Here Bondi and Ian are urinating when Ian goes back. And when Bondi comes back, he sees him standing there. Ian tells him that he is scared of his mother's photo. Bondi picks up a cloth and proceeds to cover Rini's photo. But as he throws that cloth at the photo, that cloth takes a shape. Now seeing this, Bondi starts leaving from there and only then that ghost haunts them. Bondi starts screaming in fear, hearing that Rini comes there and he tells her that there is a ghost there. But when she asks Ian, he says that he has not seen the ghost. Now the next morning Tony goes to his mother's grave and buries her comb and bell there. Here Hendra tells Rini that he had seen a woman during her mother's funeral. That night he returned to her mother's grave to sort things, but he found nothing. Then a few days later he walked past her house, and he saw her again. She asks him what does she look like, to which he says like her late mother. Now she comes back home and starts looking for grandma. Only then does she hear Bondi scream, and when she goes there, she sees something in the well, which she gets very scared seeing. She takes Bondi out from there, and we see Grandma's dead body floating in the well. Later her dead body is taken out, and then the scene of her burial is shown. Here Bondi went into shock due to fear, and Ian is also very scared. Then Rinny walks into Grandma's room where she finds an unsent letter on the desk to a man named Buteman. She then meets Hendra and asks him to take her downtown. They both meet Buteman and Rinny tells him about the letter. He reveals that her grandma and he were friends since primary school. When her dad married her mom, Risma never gave them blessings, because back then, being an artist was not considered dignified, and it took so long for her mom to bear a child. Then after her birth, Risma and her mom were okay. But when her mom fell ill for years, Risma became suspicious. She believed her mother didn't ask for children from God, but from Satan. Buteman gives Rinny his article and asks her to read it, as it may help her. Now before leaving, Hendra gives him his number and asks him to call if anything. Buteman tells Rinny that they won't be able to take any of them if they love each other. Now coming back home, she tells everyone that from now on they have to stick together and take care of each other. But Bondi was staring at Ian, due to which he was getting scared. Now in the night, Ian sees that Bundy is saying that he wants him to die. Ian comes out in fear and he starts walking outside feeling knocks on the wall. He sees someone and starts running away in fear, but his shirt gets stuck in a nail. Then Grandma's ghost starts coming out of that room, but the scene gets cut right here. Now the next morning Rinny goes to the children's room and sees that Ian is not there. Outside she finds Tony and together they start looking for him. When she comes out, she finds him sleeping inside an iron chest. Now she brings him inside and explains that he doesn't have to do this again. Then Tony asks her about the magazine, on which she tells that it was given to her by a friend of Grandma's. He then tells her that it tells the story of a woman who's been married for 10 years and cannot have a child, and she finally gave birth to a child. In cities, there are Satan-worshipping cults that are related to fertility. Someone who wishes to have a child but is barren can join the cult and they will get pregnant. However, the last child must be given to the cult to be sacrificed when he reaches 7 years old. He then says Mom didn't want them to give them to the cult, so before her last child reaches 7 years old, she always had a new baby, but Rinny still could not believe these things. He then says that Ian is turning 7 in 3 days, but as per the article, the child can only be taken if his family gives him up. She asks him taken by whom, to which he says that the promised child will be taken by the living dead. Now Rinny is serving food to Ian when her grandma's wheelchair comes there on its own and she also hears her wheezing. She sees her grandmother in the mirror but no one is on the chair. Now they call Usted at home and tell him about it. He takes their grandmother's chair to her room and comes out and asks Rinny to show him her mother's room. Then he goes there and starts doing some prayers, after which he tells her that they are usually other beings imitating the ones they love to tear their family apart. He can only ask for help from God, so nothing will disturb them again. He asks them to pray because all beings are afraid of God. Now that night when Rinny is doing ritual washing before prayer, she is haunted by her mother's ghost. Then when she is praying, we see Maureen's spirit standing outside the window. Here the door of the children's room opens automatically. Ian closes the door and runs back to his bed. But then he hears Grandma's wheezing and sees Grandma standing near Bonda's bed. Here now that spirit has come inside the room, and suddenly she comes in front of Rinny, due to which she gets terrified. She then starts moving towards her and looks at her. And then we see that Rinny and Tony come to Usted's house with the kids. Now the next day Tony tells Rinny that the women in the cult were not impregnated by their husbands, but by the men in the cult. Then Hendra comes there and tells them that Buteman called him and he is going to meet him. Then he leaves to meet him, and here Usted tells Rinny that they will hold a mass prayer at their house. Here Buteman gives his latest article to Hendra and asks him to give it to Rinny. Hendra asks him what is going on which the Buteman tells him something in his ear. Now when he is on his way back, he gets into an accident with a truck, in which he dies very badly. Here at Buteman's house someone knocks on the door and starts trying to open the door forcibly. When Hendra's body is brought home, the letter falls from Hendra's pocket, and Rinny picks up that letter. Now that night Rinny's sleep is awakened by the sound of the window, and when she goes to close it, she sees Hendra's spirit outside who suddenly starts pulling her hand. Tony comes out, hears her scream and tries to save her, but Usted sees them from inside but he does not help them. Tony somehow frees Rinny from that spirit and only then their dad comes there. He asks them what they are doing here, to which Tony tells him that many things happen while he is gone. He then takes them home and tells them that tomorrow they are moving to a flat downtown. Later, Tony takes Ian to the washroom but the door there gets locked. Hearing his scream, Bari and Rini come there. Bari breaks open the door and they see someone taking Ian inside the well. He jumps straight in and after searching for a while, he comes up with Ian. Tony then puts the rope in the well and Rini and he starts taking out Bari together. Then Rama's ghost also starts coming out of the water, but they both manage to take out Bari and Ian. Then they see that the members of the cult surround the house and they are moving towards them. They come inside the house where Rini tells Bari that they have come to take Ian. Just then Raham's wheelchair moves and flies towards them. They all try to escape but the door locks and Bundy and Ian are left outside. Bundy sees that Ghost has come to take Ian and Ian tells Bundy that he loves him. Bundy runs to save him and with that, the ghost also leaves from there. Then Bari and everyone else also comes out, and Bari goes out in anger and tells the members of the cult that they can't take any of his children. Then Tony brings him inside and tells them that they have left from there. Now the next day they are packing to move from this house, and they feel that everything is okay now. Bari tells them that after they move to a new flat, they will celebrate Ian's birthday at midnight. Now they keep waiting for the moving van throughout the day but their van does not show up. Then Ustad comes there to wish them a good journey. Rini tells Bari that she is going for a walk outside and Bari goes inside with Ustad. Outside Rini finds some seeds in the forest and here Ustad apologizes to Bari for not being able to help last night. Now at night, Ustad asks him if he can stay here for some time as he feels lonely at home. Bari tells Tony and Rini to go to sleep and only then do the lights go off. Later, Rini finally opens Buteman's letter, which reads Satan's grand plan to spread his seeds. She goes to Tony and wakes him up. She tells him about Buteman's new article, which explains that the last child shall be taken by the cult because they are Satan's own child. It also explains that the cultist's arrival last night was simply to mark the house by spreading seeds for the undead to pick up the child. Only then do they start to hear the bell and footsteps, and when they look outside, they get shocked to see their mother's ghost. Here Bondi sees that Ian is saying something while looking out the window. He tells Bondi that he is talking to his friends and then walks out of the room, and only then does Bondi see Pokong's on the window. Bondi hides under the bed in fear and then the door of his room opens and a Pokong comes close to him. Here Ustad hears some sounds and he also sees a Pokong in the house. When he goes after him, he sees that he is Hendra, and there are many Pokongs behind him. Here Bari finds a bell on his bed and sees Maurani's ghost lying on the bed. He gets scared seeing this and comes out of the room, and comes downstairs with Tony and Rini. There they find Ustad who is attacked and killed by Pokongs. Then they hear Bondi scream and they immediately go to his room. From there Rini sees that Ian is roaming outside alone, and their mother's ghost is going after him. Now they all come out and see that Ian is standing with Maurani's ghost. He gets shocked seeing this and Tony brings him back inside. But inside too they are attacked by Pokongs and they close the door to escape from them. Here we see Grandma's spirit stopping the Pokongs to come inside. And only then Buteman arrives there and evacuates Bari and the other children. 1 year later, Bari and his family leave in an apartment in town. A woman named Jarmina comes over bringing food for them. Rini thanks her, and then she leaves there. Darmina returns to her apartment where her husband says they must make sure the family never leaves. Darmina says it's time for another harvest and her husband tells her to be patient. She plays a record and we see a jar full of those seeds there and the movie ends here. Please like and subscribe to my channel and click the bell icon never to miss new video updates. Thanks for watching.